Hey everybody, welcome back to the Snyder Family Podcast. I'm Ben, this is my wife Rachel. We're joined today with Sam as well, and so we're super excited to dive into today's episode. We're going to be going through hot takes, and these hot takes are in alphabetical order, going through the most Googled parenting questions by state about parenting, and so we're just so excited to dive into today's content. Thanks for joining us.
So, we're back. This is part two. This is part two of probably part three. Part two of three, That's 66%, I think. repeating.
We're somewhere in there.
And we are on Illinois right now.
Illinois. What
So,
do you got for us, Illinois?
Illinois is wondering. Illinois is wondering. Mm-hmm. This is what Illinois is wondering.
What is Illinois wondering?
Illinois' most asked parenting question is how to teach a kid to ride a bike.
I mean, we have one successful rider at this point.
And then we have 4 training wheel bikes. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like I've seen a trick where you put a towel around their waist, and so they think that you are holding on to them, and like you gradually like release it. And I think maybe we did that a little bit with Vivian, but she also was just very determined to ride her bike.
She was incredibly determined. So
Nothing beats determination.
No, I mean, that's your number one. If they don't want to, you're SOL.
Yeah, it takes longer if they aren't actively trying to learn. So for Vivian, I was literally like, she was so like, I'm gonna learn to ride, and so I would literally just give her a push, knowing that she'd probably fall, and so I kind of at first would push her onto the grass. And then she was like, no, Dad, like, push me onto the road.
Come on.
And so then I gave her a push. And then that day, like, I remember our neighbor was standing outside, and I was so proud. I was like, dude, look at my daughter. She, like, is riding a bike. I was so pumped. So, I mean, it just takes determination and time, like anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll find ask 100 different parents, you get 100 different answers on how they ride a bike, but there are good practices to do that.
Yeah. I know, like, some kids start on a Strider bike, and that's supposed to teach you, like, the balance or whatever. So there are different things that you can probably help, but I think a lot of it has to do with personality.
So our neighbor did have a Strider bike, which he let our son use, and that helped him, because at first he didn't understand the concept of pedaling.
Yeah.
Like we would push him in the bike, or we'd have to pull him along, and I'd like tie a jump rope.
We literally tied a jump rope and like pulled him with a stick so that he would move.
Because he couldn't quite get the concept of like, you know, directing and pedaling.
Yeah.
And so when he got on the Strider bike, then he started to realize that motion, like, I got to move my feet to push me forward. So
Interesting.
But I'd be curious to know why Illinois is asking how to ride a bike. Why are you asking how to teach a kid to ride a bike?
I just want to
give us the answer. These are our hot takes, but give us your answer, Illinois.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Next one is Indiana. How many teeth do kids have?
I'm like counting my mouth or no?
So no. I looked this up. It's more. They start out with more, and then you end with less.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I'm dead serious. It's part of like.
Yeah, I feel like this needs to be fact checked.
Where's our fact checker?
I will look this up right now. So children typically get 20 baby teeth. And these start to erupt around 6 to 12 months.
Who says that?
Thanks,
So then
AI.
how many do adults have?
They have 32 permanent teeth. Children have 20 baby teeth.
Moving on.
I thought that it was more. Oh, no, it was bones. Sorry. It was bones in general.
I get okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Close.
It wasn't teeth. It was bones.
Okay.
All right. We'll give you that.
Give
We'll give you a pass for now. A pass for now.
That's funny.
Hailing from Iowa. How to get toddler to stop hitting. Of course they have like terrible grammar. How to get toddler to stop hitting.
How do you get the kid stop hit?
Okay. toddlers in general, one, make sure they are napping, because their emotional responses to things in general are quite escalated if they are not properly rested. And then it really depends on how you do punishment. Like, some people are all about time out. Some people are like, yep, you're going to get a spanking because that's what's effective. Or like what makes an impact in, like, I had a sibling who you could give them a spanking, they could care less, but they loved people and they wanted to be around people all the time. So if you put them in a timeout, they're devastated and crushed. So I think that, and then I've also heard of people just like hitting their kid back and they're like, yeah, I didn't like how that felt. I'm not going to do that again. So, I mean,
Who was
not
it?
that I
Who does
not
that?
that I would do that, but I have heard that it's effective.
Yeah. I mean, we believe that train a child up in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they'll not depart from it. And so, like, we have spanked, we've done timeouts, but essentially, like, you have to be part of curbing the behavior.
Yeah.
Like, so
And be
you have to
consistent.
teach them. Like, if you let them continue hitting, they're gonna keep hitting until somebody hits them back, which I would rather not have somebody random hitting my kid because I didn't help them learn the behavior isn't right to hit people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not right to hurt others. So obviously we're talking about kids, so you're not really like talking about like full grown men swinging fists, you know what I mean? But like still, like you want to teach them how to respect others, and that starts at a young age. So like it's a good question. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Now, Kansas asks, is my child
Sam is.
dyslexic? I hate that word. Dyslexic. Okay. Cut that.
Say it
Cut
again.
that.
It's wild that that's the top asked, like, Googled question.
Yeah. Like not like how do you know if a kid is dyslexic? It's, is my child dyslexic?
I wonder if the child was looking it up.
Am I dyslexic?
Trying to make it sound like the parents researching it, but it's actually
Is my
themselves.
child dyslexic?
Sam can't say dyslexic.
Dyslexic.
I mean, the most obvious is that they're struggling with reading.
Yeah.
And often they're switching their letters around because how they're seeing it is kind of slightly backwards. And so I think usually the biggest, like, first sign is that their reading fluency is really struggling. And so then you start looking at the why. And then I do think that there are tools and tests out there to probably, like, okay, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And you can probably target it. And then I know a lot of schools and things have programs and stuff to work with kids who do. So yeah, there are definitely tools out there to figure that out. But I think reading fluency is probably one of the first big indicators.
Yeah.
So
There we go. Way to go, Teach.
yes.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Nice. All right, moving on. The most asked parenting question from Kentucky. When should kids be potty trained?
Boy or girl, because I feel like that's so different. I think there's a dad opinion and there's a mom opinion. Because what's the dad opinion, Ben?
Well, so I think this is more personal than
Yeah.
it is like dad perspective. So
Yeah.
let me clarify that first.
Yeah.
But when we were young, like we had multiple family units that lived on larger areas of land, so we had more privacy afforded to us, and so we were able to, like, mom and dad would let us go naked, and then we were able to, like, learn faster, like, okay, this is where you go, like, because essentially, like, it's kind of like the slap your hand. You run through your pee.
And you're done.
And you're done. You don't want to do that again.
Yes.
And I think also just as a props to Dad, Doug Snyder, if you're listening. But as a props to him, like they and our mother, Beth Snyder, if you're listening, they really were intentional.
Yeah.
And so I think that like it depends on when you want to start, and I think that part of it came down to like they saw in us that we had the cognitive ability to understand a sense of bodily control where not to the level of punishment of this is right and this is wrong kind of a thing. Yeah. They were a little more aggressive with me because I was there first. And so I remember some things that maybe I wouldn't recommend. But I would say that like if you see that there's cognitive function, then that is able to handle making some decision making based on like your bodily function. I think that you can start to think that route, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's different for all kids. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about like I'm going to walk one direction.
The reason I ask him and kind of laugh is because like our girls, we had potty trained, I think by the time they were 2.5. And then we have Noah who's 3.5 and is yet to be potty trained. And I do think I have probably a little bit of fear potty training a boy versus a girl. Like it's just different. And so,
which we can get into in another episode.
We tried one day. We tried one day, and we went through 5 pairs of underwear in a day. And I was like, it's not our day. It's not our day. So we're just gonna keep this going.
It's not our day.
I do think there was some incentive with our girls, like by preschool, by 3, you need to be potty trained to attend preschool. And so, I think for girls, I have heard is typically younger than boys, but here we are.
Here we are. Next question is from Louisiana. They ask, what do kids learn in kindergarten?
Well done, Louisiana, for being concerned about your kids' education.
Come on.
Good question.
Okay, so I used to teach kindergarten, so
I did not teach kindergarten.
Both just synchronized.
I mean, it's hard because a lot of kids come into kindergarten with a varied background of what was introduced to them. So you can have students who hardly were taught the alphabet and other kids who are almost reading by the time they come in. So it's a lot of like, where are kids at? How can I further them along? And then basically your goal is to look at what do they need to do going into first grade. So I would say a lot of kids going into first grade are able to recognize their letters, their letter sounds. They can blend their letters. They're starting to read. A lot of kids can fluently read by the end of kindergarten. And I mean, your traditional math facts, your basic math facts. And then it's a lot of introductory. I know different states vary in, some take more of an approach of kindergarten is still a lot of play. Other ones are more academically rigorous, and they're like, I want them to meet all of these expectations by first grade. My opinion is that kindergarten should be a lot more exploratory learning, a lot of play. This is like, let's find your interests, how you learn best. I think we push kids a little bit too hard in kindergarten in general. It's amazing the things that they can do, but do they need to do that? Like, why are we taking away their chance for, like, you only get to be 5 and 6 for such a short time. And there's so much creativity that is still happening at that age where kids love to imagine things, and there's such an innocence that's still there. So trying to push them into like this next level of structure when they can still have this beautiful freedom, I think that we go a little bit too far with kindergarten in general.
Hot take.
That is my hot take.
That is a hot take, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Also, I flipped Louisiana. And
Sam and his dyslexia.
We might have learned something else that we were not expecting to learn today. I'm just kidding. Or I'm not. But so that was Maryland is what do kids learn in kindergarten. Yeah. Louisiana's true question is why Why won't my kids be quiet?
I don't know. Why are your kids so loud, mate?
It's all the slap your mama sauce down there. That's
Kids are loud, man. Like, not all kids are loud, and that's part of different personalities, but I don't know. I mean, Rachel, you said something good last time about, like, you'd heard that if they feel like they're in a safe environment, they typically feel like they can be louder.
Yes. And I do think a lot of it goes with, like, kids' natural personality, what they are energized off of. So I was just talking to a girl at church who babysat our kids at our house, and she said it's interesting because Vivian naturally, just when you were gone, tended to mother the other kids, and she said it was actually really cute. And I said, isn't it wild how when she's at church, she is so loud to the point that sometimes I get overwhelmed because she is so loud because she's energized off of people, and then that's her gifting. And I'm more naturally introverted, and so I love people, but I need to recharge. But when Vivian is at home, she is so much more relaxed and tends to be quieter, and she'll go off and play by herself, and she'll be totally calm. But as soon as she is around people, she becomes 110% of herself. And so I do think it depends on the environment that the child thrives in and what gives them energy. And it could be just naturally who they are.
You're loud, Louisiana.
Loud and
proud.
Ben's hot take.
I'm proud.
All right, Maine. Why do toddlers bite?
If you're hungry, man. If they, I don't know if they see that behavior, or sometimes they're just exploring, is my opinion. That they're just trying to explore their surrounding, and that's one of the things that they find. Like, I mean, I don't know the research, but I know that that's part of exploring the space.
Yeah, I would say it's more of I would say it's probably if a child can't communicate with their words, they're going to communicate with their actions. So,
Do you think it has to do with all the lobster out in Maine?
I mean, maybe that takes quite the bite. We are unhinged.
Oh, we're going down a rabbit trail right now.
We're gonna meander on down to Massachusetts, and they ask how to deal with toddler tantrums.
I think there's both a masculine and a feminine side to that. Boys and girls will respond differently to handling a tantrum. Like so the difference that I see is when I come into a room and I put a stop to something, usually our girls will break down in tears. Noah will start to hit.
He's out to punch.
Yeah, he's like kicking a little bit and just being a boy, and so I think that the way that you respond, the way that I respond makes a difference in how that tantrum ends, or I have essentially the ability to either escalate it or de-escalate it. And I think that Rachel, you are very good at usually simmering it and making it go quietly. And I think there's a balance of both. You know what I mean? Like sometimes Rachel will ask me to step in and stop when they aren't listening.
Because I'm almost too nurturing, I think, that I'm not that you want them to feel threatened, but to some extent, if they don't listen to you, like you do need them to feel that a little bit. And so, like with Noah, he's very comfortable telling me straight up no because he doesn't have any healthy fear of me. And whereas if I say, okay, fine, I'm going to go get Dad because you need to listen and obey, then he will listen and obey Ben. And he could do and say exactly what I did and said. But it's just the difference between like the authority that he's given Ben versus like the nurturing that he feels from me.
So we're going to do one more question, and we're going to end with Michigan, and then we'll kick off next week with Minnesota.
Oh, leaving the suspense.
That's what we do here. So Michigan, their question is, why is my kid so mean?
Wow.
That's kind of sad that that's the most asked question. But I did read a book like with our students that talks a lot about, they give a visual image to other students, like everybody has a bucket on their head, and either your bucket is continually being filled up or it's being emptied based on what happens in your day. And so I would look at how their day is going, like what is causing them to react in being mean to other kids, because usually what we taught kids when I was a teacher is that if someone's being mean, it's because their bucket is empty. And so then you have to roll back the onion and like, okay, why? And so what is causing them pain that's causing them to cause pain for other people would be my thought.
They should check the Great Lakes. See what they're filling up their bucket with.
Oh my gosh, I was like, where is this going? There's a dad joke in there somewhere.
No, we're praying for you, Michigan. Yeah. Man,
that's tough. We do want to thank our sponsor for this episode, and this sponsor is very near and dear to my heart.
And to this space.
And to this space. And it's Ben, and we just want to thank Ben for making this episode happen. And if you are looking for music, for worship, for anything of that matter, reach out to Ben. You can get his information from the Snyder Family Podcast website. You can get in contact with him through his socials at Ben Snyder. So make sure to, if you need a worship event, a coffee shop, or whatever you're looking for, this guy, multi-talented. So thank you, Ben. Well, there you have it. Those are the hot takes for today in part 2. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna keep rolling through them. So we'll see you back here for next week. Make sure that you like and subscribe, just so that we can keep this content going and providing you with better and better content each week. So thank you so much for joining us. Check out our social medias, the Snyder Family Podcast. Check out our website for any more information, for contact information, for sponsorship information, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.